Nobody wants to work a real job anymore in China because you know why? Because every time a business model in the realm of digital commerce takes off for being simple and cost efficient yet dangerously effective at going viral and profitable, you can bet that a million desperate 9-to-5 workers who happen to find themselves stuck at a dead-end job will immediately jump on the bandwagon, flooding the space doing the exact same thing, draining profits dry until it becomes a one-way ticket to oversaturation where the public's already seen enough. And then the profit margin inevitably collapses until a new trend comes, and then you rinse and repeat until you can finally afford to live like a champion. And get a Maybach, every rich Chinese must have. Now today I'm going to talk about short-form content platform streaming, where the act is seen as a one-way ticket out of 9 to 5, mainly because of the sheer amount of propaganda online that this is the way out and it's easy to do. Not only is it notoriously easy to apply to join a talent agency, like seriously, they will look for you instead. Like in this particular case, the recruiter will literally pretend to be a rich unemployed man who was forced to work, so by applying you're actually doing them a favor. But whatever form of TikTok or equivalent streaming you do, one thing is clear. If you make it, you make it. But if you don't have the luck or patience for the lottery or the social skills of a live stream commentator, then dance group broadcasting is your way out of the poverty line. Now, dance group broadcasting has been around for a very long time, but this particular format involving a selection of aesthetically gifted individuals where the chat gets to pick who dances and they all have a signature move became China's ultimate counterattack against a rising threat of losing domestic viewership to rival K-pop idols and Twitch streamers on international platforms. And when the phenomenon blew up during early COVID-19, boy, they were printing. Stories about top streamers where they pull in 1 million RMB in a single night just from gifts and contributions were all over the place. And mid-tier streamers doing the exact same thing can also average a monthly income of 50,000 yuan per month, which is pretty good. Although please take into consideration that 80% of the current streaming population is making less than 8,000 yuan a month, which is still a figure that goes somewhat toe-to-toe with the average national monthly salary. In fact, there was actually even a viral saying that somewhat goes around: ever since I became a group broadcaster, I have forgotten who I used to be, which is hinting the fact that they are bowling so hard now that they literally forgot what their 9 to 5 used to be, which is honestly pretty valid. If this channel reaches 1 million subscribers, 9 to 5. Now, once you are accepted to join these live stream groups, they will offer you a hefty sign-up bonus depending on whether you are an influencer to begin with, or if you are not, they'll still train you from scratch until you're fully ready to make this into your actual career. Okay, I just realized this is kind of sounding like that I'm doing tricks on the whole streaming industry's. Nuh-uh, don't get me wrong. The purpose of this video is not to encourage you to quit your job and go join some dance group in hopes that you'll make it out of the rat race. But all I'm saying is that we all know how brutally difficult it is to get signed by a company like SM or YG, and making it as a solo streamer with enough income to survive is essentially so brutal these days that you might as well be, I don't know, take your ass over to the most popular McDonald's within your 10-kilometer vicinity and start begging for cash. You might make more, but with a business model like this, dude, the entry is so low that your dad can probably do it. No, actually, seriously, there is actually this one guy who had his dad put on makeup, filters, and sent him into one of these recently trending, real recent dance groups, and he looked as real as the others, I'm not gonna lie. Tell me if this doesn't look convincing. I feel like something's off, but that's because I know. Although that was a skit, so please keep that in mind. Don't take my word for it. It's not like I'm a peer-reviewed information channel or anything like that. But because this line of work is fairly demanding when it comes to aesthetics, the industry has pretty much become a direct pipeline of some sort for either retired idols or current idols to quickly make a few bucks online. Now, one of the earliest examples of this is Kaka from the SK girl group, which was one of the earliest polished idol girl groups that are on Douyin, and she has had such a generational run on that platform, she literally earned the nickname $1 Million Kaka after earning 1 million yuan in a single night. $1 Million Kaka, that name is cold. But of course, with the rapid development of this industry, some netizens complain that group streaming now is just not what it used to be. For example, back then things were kind of fun and chaotic. At least this had some entertainment values that derive from just regular thirst traps, and now it's just all this. Now listen, despite how I look, I'm not exactly the most avid live streaming consumer on the planet. I mean, sure, I've seen some pretty good ones, but I figured that there are essentially 3 types of people that would watch this content. Now firstly, it's just your average guy or gal who stumbled upon the stream and the music hits just right, and whoever's in the stream will catch their attention, and of course the viewer earns them a few cents indirectly during their short stay by boosting the algorithm a little, just so the video can reach the people who will actually tip, but overall they're not usually interested. And then the second type of people are essentially individuals who just so happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. The streamer or whoever the announcer is sees his username, calls him out, and thanks him for his time, and boom, he's cooked. Hooked. not cooked, but same thing. Now, the individual may come back once or twice a week, but overall it has no huge detriments to his social life or anything. And then we have the unfortunate lonely parasocial who's just down on his luck, stumbles upon a stream and the cute guy or girl smiles at just the right moment, capturing their hearts, and the next thing you know, man, you're tipping your yearly salary away and you're drained for real. No, seriously, this is actually a thing, I'm not kidding. There was this one man who spent 550k on his life savings to a streamer just so she'd call him bro. Happens just as commonly in the East as it does in the West. But honestly, I will say that short form live streaming content has got to be the biggest f*** you to 9 to 5 in China since rural redevelopment programs, where if you're a rural farmer with acres and acres of worthless land and the government decides to mark your joint as the next development project, you and your son and your dad and your uncle and your mom and your grandfather and all their kids are set for life from that payout. Fun fact, that is also a decent portion of how early wave of Chinese new money is made. But the activities conducted within those dance group live streams is also fairly simple. Like the one mentioned earlier where you start off bumping your shoulders rhythmically to the sound for a couple seconds and then the camera zooms out in sync while the lights dim and you sweep your legs back and forth for a duration of the chorus as the camera pans back out, and then depending on which idol the camera would focus on, they will each apply their own signature move. And then the stream loops for the next foreseeable couple hours, making bank in the process. Yep, and what am I doing? Thanks to middle-aged men and their tipping habits. I mean, look, I know the stock market has a pretty bad reputation to be the grim reaper of elderly wealth, but this might take the crown. I know we kind of joke around about how if like a 16th century peasant saw a live set of DEF CON, he might shit his pants from all the stimulation. But dude, if you got your old man an iPhone 16 Pro Max and sent him on one of these King Cloud Premier recliners and then showed him a live stream of these Xiaohongshu Hazis dancing to 30 Sexy by Rain, it literally might be more ethical for you to wait until he's got Alzheimer's and then you scam the inheritance yourself. I mean, I'm in the prime of my life, prime frontal cortex and everything fully developed, and I'm still catching myself doing these double takes on one of these female group streaming teams on my For You page, let alone the elderly population in China. And why do I say that? Because before and during COVID, tipping remains the primary monetization method in group streams. However, unlike traditional showrooms that rely on just one or two big bowlers, the group streaming model encourages broader fan participation, which means anybody that is breathing and has a social identification with a valid bank account is up for grabs. But then you know what's funny is that 2-3 years ago, group streaming revenue has seen a notable shift skewing towards women, which obviously the business has picked up on. And through curated marketing strategies and tailored selection, more and more male groups are therefore then on the rise. Okay, for example, in this report sponsored by Sina News, we're seeing 75.25% of the overall audience distribution is females between the ages of 18 to 23. Now this is taken from SK005's following, where over 95% of the population is female and possibly the main donors as well. So you know what that means? You're also getting rinsed. But I mean, you can kind of make the argument and attribute this to the fact that the dating market is kind of screwed up where neither the male population nor the female population wants to participate anymore. But if you want to know more, watch my video. But in the meantime, that's all I got. See you next time.